need more money.
That's the plight of millions of South Africans who either aren't working or, like Ntombi, earn just enough to get by. She could afford a few luxuries on the new national minimum wage, which comes into force next year, but employers can apply for an exemption.
But those who don't want to do it, they must think about it. I think that they must think about that 20 rand or more, it's okay.
If her employer doesn't try to opt out, Ntombi will be among 6.6 million workers the government says will benefit from a national minimum wage that's supposed to reduce the income gap between the haves and the have-nots. But there are also fears it could hurt employment levels.
Some businesses and workers are worried that the higher wage costs will mean companies cut staff numbers or reduce their workers' hours.
It's a concern the Deputy President has acknowledged was key to negotiations.
What we are seeking to balance is that the wage that we set in place should have an impact of lifting the lowest paid workers, but it should not also be too high to lead to massive job losses.
The missing factor in the equation, according to the Institute for Race Relations, is the unemployed and the possibility that entrepreneurs won't be able to expand their start-up businesses.
This new proposed minimum wage is going to make that small entrepreneur's chances of employing people around him and growing his business that much more difficult. The victims of this become poor people and relatively less skilled people.
But low wages can be exploitative, and the government says it's time companies started to pay people properly. $1.60 an hour may not sound like much to some, but for Ntombi it's the difference between 1 or 2 loaves of bread, and that means everything to her. Tania, Al Jazeera, Johannesburg.